Final Hour Overdrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line of the final score. Bryan Hayes, O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill. Jamie Noodles McLennan is in Ottawa tonight, so
you almost said it. You almost said it.
What?
I almost said it.
You did. You almost said Bryan Hayes, the O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, and Jamie Noodles McLennan, but you said Jamie isn't here.
He is not here. He is not here. So I was going to say Jason Strudwick's here. Struddy, it's all good, right?
Likewise.
So it's been a good day. It's been a fun day because Max Scherzer has signed with the Blue Jays. The Leafs are coming off a loss last night. I'm sure the Leafs are happy about that, right? They get to fly off to Edmonton, and people in Toronto are talking about the Blue Jays, right? You guys okay? Everyone all right over there? You guys frozen? You asleep? Or what's happening?
No, I'm not too. Scherzer's a nostalgic signing, I think. I hope it's more than that. But I think it's nice. You could see a really good player or what was a really good player come, and then maybe he can provide something. I'm not sure where he's at.
Yeah.
As far as the Leafs, I think I'm clear. I think they're missing some significant pieces in the lineup for health reasons. There's other teams that are kind of grinding through this pre-tournament time. You got to try to get a few wins in here for every team. But I think for the Leafs, I think coming in to play the Oilers, that's an exciting night. There'll be lots of Leafs fans in there.
Yeah, there will be.
The blue and white, they'll be fired up. The Matthews versus McDavid, all that stuff. It's exciting for them, and I think that if that gets you a little juice, that gets you going again, because everyone loves Saturday night Canadian night hockey.
Yep.
Hayes, you brought up a point about the Leafs scoring from defense, and I find it somewhat shocking the way how talented the forwards are. Like, those guys can pull up and dish it to somebody coming late better than anybody, can't they?
Yeah.
Can't OEL just sniff in there and kind of pop one in there, or Myers or more Riley? Like, I'm surprised that there's not more, and I know it's not a star-studded decor, but just you would think there'd be a little more pop back there.
Well, but he had his chance. OEL had his chance there halfway through the third period. Remember, he got a direct pass, slid in, and I think he was trying to go over the glove, and he just put it right into the glove, right?
Yeah. I mean, Ekman Larsson's a guy who has scored in the past.
He has.
Generally power play, though. That's generally where he's made his bones.
Yeah, but Hazy, you still have that kind of offensive instinct to kind of pop in once in a while to get something cooking, don't you?
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't leave your body completely.
No, and listen, that's more Morgan Riley. It may speak to the way they're playing. They used to be the kings of the stop-up and try to find the late man, and I don't know if Berube is accepting that anymore. I don't know if they're doing it nearly as much. But you look at the rest of the defense core, like Tanev is never going to be offensive. Jake McCabe has the ability to chip in with a shot from distance, but he's not a guy that gets in play. Benoit's not going to do it, right? Myers isn't going to do it. Like, no. I guess it's Riley or Ekman Larsson. Like, that's where you're going to get your offense from the point. And we've established Morgan's just not having a great year. It's not breaking his way. Yeah. He hasn't looked like himself.
And the bigger picture is, what do you want to do about it? Do you want to try to get some 5'11" skill guys in there that could maybe jump in and pot some goals? Because you know what happens to them come playoff time. So what is the recipe? There's got to be some kind of happy medium where big, strong, physical gets it done in the playoffs, but you got to be able to chip in once in a while.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Struddy, you can answer that best. I mean, would you prefer a defense core that they've got size, they're going to shrink the ice, they're going to block shots, they're going to be physical on their own end, but the puck's going to kind of die on their stick a little bit on the offensive side of things, or would you prefer to see more focus the other way? I don't think Treleaven's going to do that. Like, Tree's not going to go out there and get 5'9" offensive defenseman. Like that's not going to happen. But how do you balance the two as you get closer to playoff time?
Yeah, they for sure need offense on your back end, and I think, Dog, you made a good point. Following the play up, so when I I didn't do it very much, but you break it out, pass up to a winger, keep that momentum going, and get up there and be that second wave, so that when a guy turns back, you're there. You can catch that pass and hammer that in. So
the problem is, Struddy, they've been kind of drilled into their heads where it's like the pull up play and losing the puck and transition. It's been kind of drilled in their head that crap ain't working anymore. So I think everyone's a little bit shy to be like, let's do this and that and jump in the play and then get caught on odd man rushes and then they're screwed.
Yeah, no, and there is some risk associated with it, but if you, like, I'm not talking about turning up right the blue line. You drive it below, I'd say below the hash marks at least, Doug.
Yes.
Then you turn it and you can find it. Or even, you turn a 2-on-2 into a 3-on-2. Like, there's some decent skaters back there. They get up that ice and turn it into an odd man rush.
Here is our TSN hockey insider, Chris Johnston. CJ, how would you describe the lack of offense by the Leafs right now and how concerning it should be for Craig Berube, Brad Treliving, et cetera, as they project what could happen the rest of the way?
Well, certainly I think there's a level of concern there. And to me, it's not just these 3 games where they've scored 1 goal in each of them. It's the fact that if you zoom out, 75% of the goals from the team have been scored by 6 guys. And, right now, maybe in the short term, you can explain some of the lack of offense because 2 of those players have been out injured, in this stretch with Tavares and Matthew Nyes. Obviously last night you got Matthews and Nylander each, ringing a shot off the bar. But, really what we're talking about here is the Leafs don't have a lot of secondary push outside of their top 2 lines. And so, I do think as we start to look ahead to the trade deadline and the changes that might occur in the next 5 weeks, that's got to be a consideration. At times, obviously, the Leafs score well when their big guys are humming. That's not an issue. But the nights when maybe they're either not getting a bounce or they're not on top of their game, I just don't see enough of a secondary push. And so I think that'll be part of, what we're talking about here is Brad Treliving and the front office get to work.
CJ, do you like where things are at? It seems like there's a lot of, we got to ride it out right now, where it seemed like the 90s, it would be like, offense is stale, we got to go out and get a guy to kind of juice things up, and the team would make a trade. And it was exciting for fan bases. Do you kind of miss that?
Well, of course. I mean, I'm a child of the 90s when it was a 10-player deal that brought Doug Gilmour to Toronto, right? I mean, that sort of thing just doesn't exist really anywhere.
Even the shake-it-up trades, we just want to shake it up. Those were awesome.
Right. And look, we are getting – I think there's been a little more activity around the league. It hasn't necessarily been centered here in Toronto this season, and it's starting to feel like that there's teams that are thinking about doing some bigger stuff than, just the typical deadline things. But, the cap definitely has put the brakes on that. Now, one item that perked my ears, we just recorded Insider Trading with Dregs, is, he was talking about the fact that he thinks the league's close to finalizing next year's cap. Somewhere, he didn't provide the exact number, but 95, 96 million maybe. And so maybe if we start to get some bigger jumps, which seem to be on the horizon, there'll be more of that, ODOG. But, right now, it does seem like it's a bit of a ride-it-out league. And look, it's probably better for some of the players' lives, but it's not as much fun if you're a fan.
CJ, I want to go a little bit off the board here. Player hasn't played much. Your thoughts on Jordan Greenway? I know he's injured, but I see him as a playoff performer for some team. What's the situation? Is there anything going on with him as far as talk with him potentially being traded out of Buffalo?
Well, certainly I expect Greenway as a player is on an expiring deal to be shipped out by the deadline period. And I know there's already some top teams that kind of have him circled on their list or on their short list. I mean, the production hasn't been there offensively for Jordan Greenway, but the number that I think is easy to focus on is the fact he's 6'6" and on any given day somewhere 230 pounds or maybe even a little bit above that on the scales. And so because he can play that power game, and I think that especially on a good team slotted in the right role, makes a lot of sense. It wouldn't surprise me if actually the team in your city there, Struddy, the Oilers, might look closely at him. But other teams looking to have a long playoff run love that size, love the fact that they can have him as a forechecker. And, he's got some hands, too, to chip in a little bit offensively if he finds it. And so probably the biggest question mark that Greenway's faced in his career is consistency. You'll see it for a few games where he's playing a bit of that power game and then he goes away. But just given that he's on a $3 million contract and that Buffalo's at the very bottom of the East and obviously will be looking to sell as we get close to the deadline, I do expect him to move.
With Chris Johnston, so, we just spoke a moment ago about moves and how tough they can be. I'm just curious how that jives with the Rantanen deal that just took place, which was an absolute blockbuster. Are we just to believe that was just simply a one-off and that's it, and no other team would ever do that, or no other player would ever negotiate that way?
Hazy, you think another team's going to say, "Oh, we can move this guy now"?
Well, yeah. I mean, and I get fine print and I get no trades and all that, and that complicates a lot of stuff. But like Colorado is going to the playoffs. They're a really good team. Rantanen's a top 10 player, and they said we're done with we're off. We're done. You're out.
Yep.
See you later. Like, why is it just Colorado could do that, CJ? Like, could this potentially be a tipping point, a domino effect? Like, how does the rest of the league react to something so significant?
I'd like to say yes, but my gut's telling me no. Like, my sense is, there's not like an arms race that comes out of this, and there's just such specific circumstances here. I mean, ultimately, Colorado decided it wasn't just that the negotiation wasn't going well. It's that they decided they couldn't pay. Basically, they don't want to do what the Leafs' decision has been, right? They don't want to pay Rantanen his market value, plus McKinnon at 12.6, plus Cale Makar at whatever he's going to come in on his next contract. They just didn't think that was a path. As great as those players all are, they made a choice that Rantanen was the one that they could move on from, rather than tying up a huge percentage of their cap space in those three guys. And so I think that's ultimately what drove the bus on this decision. And I just don't know if that's going to happen elsewhere. The Marner comparable is real just because he's in the same situation as Rantanen, as one of the league's top scorers, pending UFA. But what's not the same, of course, is that trade protection. I don't see the Leafs pursuing a deal with him. I don't see them going to him, amid the year he's having. I mean, I just talked in the previous answer about how the team doesn't score enough. I mean, in the short term, it would be hard to imagine they'd be in a better spot if you're talking about moving him. So, I do think it's specific circumstances a little bit. But that being said, let's be real here. There's other teams that want to make moves. There's some bigger names out there. We've been over the Vancouver stuff enough, but this isn't just a year where it's deadline rentals on the market. I think that there's a lot of more interesting players in these talks, and maybe a few more of the deals will come together.
CJ, you mentioned Vancouver, and it seemed like a deal was going to go down, especially after some of the comments Jim Rutherford made. Like, are they not getting the offers that they were expecting? Is that market dried up somehow? Or, like, what's the mini Jerry's percentage that neither of them gets traded? Like, if they have, like, account for a couple more wins in a row here, how does it take away from that buzz about one of them or both of them are getting traded?
Well, I don't think team performance is going to dictate it. I think really it's going to come down to the offers, and they just haven't been there. And I think Vancouver probably knows deep down that if they trade either of these guys, or if they end up trading both of them, probably not trades you're going to win. But you can't lose 7-1 on the trade. They're trying to lose 3-2 in overtime, and at least have it be a respectable deal, have it be something that can allow them to move forward, because their team is trying to win the Stanley Cup. And trying to build around some of these guys. And let's face it, they got Quinn Hughes only a couple of years away from his next extension, where they're going to be fighting to want to keep him on board too, because he could be a potential UFA. So, I think that there's a lot of things to consider when they make those trades. So, yeah, it's certainly a possibility. Both guys remain with the Canucks beyond the deadline. I would be surprised if both of them are members of the organization to start next season. But right now it's a grind, because I think teams sense that, maybe that the Vancouver's in a tough spot. This is playing out so publicly. They're trying to wait for the price to come down. The Canucks are saying the price isn't going to go down. You get into a little bit of a stalemate that way. But, there's certainly been ongoing dialogue even this week with the Canucks on these players. And so, they're trying to make something happen, but, they also are aware that they can't sell them for pennies on the dollar. They got to at least get something a little closer to even value.
CJ, the Caps are having a great year, and they're a huge team, absolutely huge. As I watch them, I'm concerned about their overall team speed. Do you think that's an issue? And if it is, are they going to need to kind of add some through that lineup?
Yeah, I mean, they're certainly among the teams looking at forward help, at this deadline. So much has gone right for them this year. I mean, it's, they made the playoffs last season, but they kind of snuck in the East, and then here they are setting the pace, through, more than half the season in the conference right now. And so I do think that they'll be a pretty aggressive front office. They've always kind of operated on the mantra that they want to remain as competitive as possible as long as Ovechkin was there. And they've managed really to transition from their cup era from 2018 into this new one. And so I do think that they will look for opportunities to add a little more speed to the lineup, beef up the forward group in particular. Obviously, they signed Logan Thompson to his extension earlier this week, and so I think that they'll be one of the buyers, but they're somewhat limited from a cap perspective as well. So I don't know that the kind of names we're talking about will be huge headline grabbers, but I think they've identified the forward group as an area in particular that they can beef up.
With Chris Johnston, our TSN Hockey Insider, Drew Doughty returned last night, played over 23 minutes, did not ease into the lineup at all. What do you think the likelihood, Mini Jerry will fire another one at you, likelihood that Doughty ends up making this Canada team in 10 days? You think that's even a possibility or what?
Yeah, I think it's better than 50% myself. And the X factor, of course, is his health.
Mini Jerry strikes again.
There you go. I mean, it's just the unknown for me is how, he hasn't played all year because of a fractured ankle till last night. As you mentioned, he plays almost 24 minutes last night. He's right back into it, against the Lightning tonight on a back-to-back. What's interesting is Doughty did have a chance to speak with John Cooper this afternoon while in Tampa. So obviously it's a sign of how closely Hockey Canada is keeping tabs on him. And I just think with his pedigree, with his history, with the program, everything he's accomplished, the fact they need a right shot D, with Pietrangelo down. I mean, a lot is lining up here that could get Drew Doughty to the tournament. He also really badly wants to play there, guys. I don't know if you saw his interview, but he has made it abundantly clear that he would love to be part of this. And so I think as long as the health is in a good spot, which is still to be determined, a little bit of an X factor, I would expect him to be the replacement.
Ooh, man, that'll be spicy because you get a guy like Drew Doughty in there. And they need that. Like my curiosity is like, how are these guys going to affect this or approach the tournament? Are they going to care enough? If Doughty goes out there and his guns blazing, that's tough. Not to follow suit. I guess that's kind of what the tournament needs. CJ is you need the veteran like Marchands and the Crosbys and the Doughtys and guys like that to go out there and say we're here to play. Like we're throwing hits and blocking shots and. That happens, I would assume everyone else will follow. But if those guys are going out just for a skate, then they probably follow that too, and the tournament could just be a sham in the end.
Yeah, I mean, I think it says a lot about the tournament and the prospect that someone like Doughty wants to do it, right? I mean, one way, and obviously Alex Pietrangelo is dealing with an ailment, but you could view his decision not to go there as a veteran guy who doesn't want to go. Well, Doughty's. And even, longer in the tooth veteran in the sense that he's already played at 2 Olympics for Canada, not just the one with Petro in 2014, and he's aching to get on there. And, I think it's the veterans that help set the tone, but, let's face it, it's also that next generation that's getting to do this for the first time. The McDavids, the Matthews, Matthew Tkachuk. I mean, all these guys, I think that they're going to drive sort of the spirit of it. A lot of those players are the best players on their country right now. McKinnon, we'll throw him in there, of course, and Makar. So, I think if those players engage and especially that Saturday game, Canada-US, if there's some real energy and emotion in it, I think that'll go a long way towards making this tournament a success.
All right, CJ. We'll leave it there. Thank you for doing this as always. We'll do it again soon.
Right on, guys. Have a great night.
Chris Johnston, our TSN Hockey Insider.
Hayes, who's the one player or is there a combo or one thing you're looking forward to watching in the Four Nations? Is it the speed of McKinnon and McDavid? Is it Sid and McDavid? Is it Makar and McDavid? What is there anything that's going to catch your eye or you're looking forward to?
Yeah, I think it would be a combination of it. McDavid's at the center of it for me, and I'd say there's 3 different branches to it, and I'll look at his position. Him playing with Sid because then you've got 2 of the all-time great players on the same team. Mm-hmm. How often do you ever get that opportunity? It's kind of a Gretzky-Lemieux element, although they were closer in age than the 2 of these guys, but not by much. So it's kind of this era's Gretzky and Lemieux playing together. Sid McDavid. I think McDavid with McKinnon because those are arguably the 2 best players in the game right now. Those 2, they're on their game. They're playing at an incredible level.
Imagine 4-on-4, them on the ice together.
Exactly. And you throw Makar on the back end. Exactly. Yeah. It's good luck. And then I would say, from a Toronto perspective, McDavid versus Matthews, Canada versus the U.S., Saturday night, Bell Center. I mean, it's got the potential for some real fireworks.
Yeah.
So for me, everything kind of revolves Struddy around McDavid and who he's playing with and who he's playing against.
Yeah, and they're going to make sure that he's able to go, right? They're going to set him up for as much success as possible. So that's where that chemistry comes up early. But can you imagine 4-on-4 if it's McKinnon, Makar, McDavid, and Sid? Okay, guys, you guys just stay here. We'll be back here in 40 seconds. Don't worry. You can jump over the boards in 40 seconds. I'd love to see that speed. For the Americans, it'd be Matthews, Hughes. You got to check up there, don't you?
And maybe Eichel. I don't know.
Oh, Eichel, yeah.
Should it be Matthews, Eichel, and Jack and Quinn Hughes?
I wouldn't be shocked if Makar could there's a chance where he could. Everybody knows what he's all about, but playing out in Colorado, it's just Cale Makar, that really good defenseman out there.
Yeah. He
could really make a statement where it's like, watch this, fellas.
Yeah.
And people would be like, oh, my God, I had no idea he was that good.
Big time.
He skates so well. And so does Quinn Hughes. So does McDavid. They all skate well. But
Oh, yeah.
I'd love to see that. Let's hope we get that, because I think you want to see those top 8 players on the ice together, right? Just
Absolutely.
wheeling and dealing.
Well, what's your I guess what do you think will be the top line for Canada? What's your dream top line for Canada?
I mean,
honestly, a dream top line is McKinnon on the right side and Sid on the left.
And McDavid up the middle.
Load it up.
Yeah.
We're shortening a bench, guys. We're only playing 3 players this period.
Well, that's the thing. Like, McDavid, what is his average ice time, Struddy? Does he play 25 minutes a night?
I don't
Not
know
quite. Those are defenseman
22,
numbers.
23. Like, he's up there. I think the coach has been trying to bring him back a little bit this year.
But these other forwards that are going to be on the fourth line, like, you're really probably not getting out on the ice. Like, those boys, they're going to be carrying the mail. So some really good players are going to be sitting there being cheerleaders for the most part.
Yeah.
I think Connor likes a guy that really goes and gets the puck, right? Like, you look at Zach Hyman, the way that he plays. So, who is that guy? And on the other side, is it Reinhardt? That seems to be a guy that kind of, finds his way towards the net. So I think who's a heavy player? Like, I'd said Scheifele to start with, but obviously that's
not on the team. Exactly.
Yeah,
Scheifele not there. Hyman not there. It's a good question.
I'm trying to think of other guys that
like
might
Marchand,
be heavy.
but I don't know if he's keeping up with McDavid anymore, man. I don't think he is.
Yeah.
That's where, like, Sid could be that guy.
Could be.
Like,
Yeah.
Sid, if you're okay with Sid on the left side, like, I think you're likely keeping McDavid and McKinnon up the middle of the ice. If you do that, there's your 1-2 punch. Those guys are both going to play 20 minutes. You figure out the rest.
Yeah.
I would think long and hard of Sid on the left side with McDavid, because he is a one-man cycle. He will battle. He will forecheck. He'll go to the front of the net.
He'll be the guy that can go get the puck.
Exactly.
He gets it.
Exactly.
He understands his role. Like, not that it's awful to say this about Sid, but he'd understand his role on a line like that, right? Like, facilitate for McDavid, and not that he can't score himself, but he understands the game. So that'd be interesting.
That's a dream for me. That would be Sid with McDavid, and then either Reinhardt or probably Marner on the right side. Like, one of those two, depending on what you're looking for. And then you have McKinnon, and you got to find guys to play with him. Maybe just Point play on the wing with him. Is it McKinnon, Point, and I don't know. I mean, they got to figure all this out. They got 10 days to do it. John Cooper, I'm sure, has his lines mocked out, right? They got a pretty good idea of what it's going to look like. But sounds like Drew Doughty is in the hunt for that spot that's now available, courtesy of Alex Pietrangelo.
I think they'll give it to him, and I actually think I really do think he deserves it.
Well, he's a great Canadian. He was there in 2010, there in 2014. He's done everything for Canada. He's a winner.
And I would bet my life that he would not show up and make it a situation where people would be like, how did they pick him?
No.
That guy is a gamer of all gamers,
sure.
man.
Big time.
He's going to bring a voice to that room, right? Some cockiness. When those other guys on the other teams are cocky, he's there. He loves that. He wants that. And he'll get everybody else fired up. Like,
that's right.
Dallas is going, boys. We got to get going. Like,
for
the tournament wants that. They need that animosity going through the game. So I love it.
Big time. Big time. All right, best bet still to come. Dear Hayesy-B coming up, a rare Thursday appearance. We're helping people on a Thursday, right? Well, that's all good. We can do that.
Yeah, Struddy will help out.
Absolutely, Struddy will be a part of this. So Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
People send in a tweet. They write us for our professional advice on life things. Dear Hayesy-B, every morning my boiler has a gas leak. My wife thinks it's the baby.
Dear Hayesy-B.
If you want to come to Hayesy-B, I need honesty from you.
Hazy, you got dumped a lot. Tell him.
Grown adults with birthdays, it's asinine.
All right, Dear Hayesy-B brought to you by Boston Pizza, Canada's favorite sports bar. This January at BP, get delicious mouth-watering pastas starting at $11.99 every single day. Enjoy the pastas you love at the prices you can't miss. Hustle into your local BP tonight. Thursday night edition, helping people. Dear Hayesy-B, take it away.
And I have some items here that are just right down Jason Strudwick's lane. I know he can help.
Perfect.
And we're going to start with this one because I think of Struddy in a work environment, cubicles, looks, somebody being into someone else, how to react and what to do. Dear Hayesy-B, sending this here as I don't want some folks on Twitter seeing. I am leaving my work for another job, and my last day is next Wednesday. My co-worker I sit beside and I are as close as far as co-workers are concerned. There has always been a positive, attractive tension between us over the last several months. One where you just know. She has a long-term boyfriend of 3+ years. Should I say something even subtle on my way out the door?
Ooh, that's crazy.
It's one of those things, if I can get the spirit of this, it's almost like she's into me, but I don't want to,
And this guy's seriously into her is the important thing. Like, he is seriously into this woman. And, she's got a long-term relationship, and I guess he's leaving. He's taking another job. What do you do,
He's
Strud?
leaving. He's on the way out the door, Strud. What's his play on the way out? Like, would you wear your tight jeans that last day? What would you do?
Oh, yeah. Well, wear them every day, but this is what I believe to be true. A 3.5-year relationship, that's a lot to unwind. They may be living together. So if you go in there and drop that nugget on her and she says, yes, I'm going to come, there's a lot to unwind there. I think this is what you do. You do it classy. Say, I'm into you. I think there's something there, but you have a lot going on. If you ever change your relationship status, please reach out to me, because doing it right there in that moment, and if she leaves,
you sound like you're begging in a weasel, man.
No,
I'm sorry. That's
I think it's classy.
Move.
I think the partner she'd appreciate that. I honestly I do. Hey, I don't want to ruin what you're going on, but I think there's something between us. I like that. I don't want to be the bad guy.
You're going to be subtle with that. That's a subtle piece of advice.
Here we go.
I'm going Jerry Maguire on this. I'm on my way. Who's with me? Who's with me? Because this is your chance. If Destiny's in front of you, Town of Destiny, right? It could be, courtesy of FanDuel, could be right in front of you. I think you just lay it out on the table. I'm into you. I think you're into me. I'm out of here. You let me know how you feel about it. And the truth is, if she gives you and it's very likely she's going to say, dude, you are completely misreading.
You might get the Heisman right to the groin.
Absolutely. And then you're leaving, new job, you block everything on social. I'm sure you follow each other on Insta and all that. Just block and move on, But here's another thing that I think you got to consider. Right now, like the office is different because you're forced into these relationships with people. There is a chance you're going to get out, start working somewhere else, and be like, maybe we actually weren't that into each other. It was just we were stuck beside each other for 8 hours.
I was forced to be into her.
Right. So maybe Struddy's onto something, the old let me know, and then maybe when she does, or if she does, you may have already moved on, which is a particularly gutless move if she gasses her guy, calls you up in 2 weeks, and then you're on to the next fling with the next office. But maybe that's the way to play the cards. Hey, I'm into you. I don't want to force anything. Struddy, you're onto something. And then, take a read on what's going on at that next place. HR can't get involved or anything. You've moved on. You're in a different world. I like the way you're thinking, Strud.
Guys, I think they're both. I think it's both. I think it's both professional and, quite frankly, inspiring. Dear Hayesy-B, girlfriend has been waiting months for football to end. This is a just a rat move by this guy, but intelligent. Girlfriend has been waiting months for football to end and to start do activities on Sunday. Long walks, pottery classes, and Bed Bath & Beyond. With no football this weekend, do I lie and put on old games or tell the truth and participate in the girlfriend activities? Putting on old games, bro, is brilliant.
That's a wild play because you probably have them stuffed in the PVR, right? You probably tape games. Now, you are risking.
If she catches you with a cassette or something.
Exactly.
Like,
you're risking a serious problem if, she grabs the remote control, changes the channel, and then goes, oh, sorry, what channel is it on? And you say, recordings, previously record icon, please. I don't think it's worth the risk. It's been a long run, right? I had someone slide into my DMs on Instagram actually this week. Dear Hayesy-Bs are coming at me all the time. I don't have enough to filter them all. People send me DMs all the time. A guy it was a reverse. He said, I'm going down to a wedding. The reason I bring this up is he's like, I want to tee it, but I love to play golf. I play like 150 rounds in the summer. I said, dude, your time is coming. It's coming. You're going to get to the golf courses. We're almost through January.
Chew on it for a bit.
Exactly. Go down, maybe play 9, but be prepared to do whatever you're supposed to do. This is the other end of the spectrum. It's been a long grind. Weekends are full. You want the Super Bowl to pop. I think you go out, long walk, mix in a pottery, and then what you do is you set the tone for next Sunday, Super Bowl. It is go time. Go time. And you have every right in the world at 12 noon, 6.5 hours before kickoff, to be dialed in doing whatever you want to do, preparing for that game.
I will say this. If, like, week 3 you were smart enough, I'm only giving you credit if you went that far back, to say I have to PVR this game because I'm going to need it in that break between the Super Bowl and the If you went that far back and thought ahead, then you owe it to yourself to rewatch that game and act like there's a live game.
Because it's a mission for you, and you've completed that mission only if you play that recording on Sunday. But
if this blows up for him, guys, he's sabotaging Super Bowl weekend.
That's right.
There's nothing worth sabotaging that weekend. Do whatever she wants. Go for walks, foot rubs, give her cat cutting, I don't know, a shave. Whatever you need to do to make her happy, you do it. No matter what. So you walk into next weekend, you're like, babe, I'll see ya. See you Monday morning.
Absolutely.
Like, you're gone.
Yeah, you do not do anything to sacrifice Super Bowl Sunday.
Don't jeopardize it.
Don't jeopardize it.
Not
Go
worth
and do
it.
your thing. And listen, it's been a great run. It's been a great season. We're all in the same boat.
Wow.
You just gotta bite the bullet.
Foot rubs has never been optioned out on this segment. I'm glad.
I don't think anyone's thrown that out yet. That's great advice, man. This is a PhD we brought in.
Yeah, whatever you want to do, I'll help you. I'll vacuum underneath the couch, like whatever you want me to do, babe. But get it ready. Set the table for next weekend.
I love it.
I love it. Dear Hayesy-B, the guys are going on a Vegas bachelor party trip in May. They are 10 of us going, including the fathers of the bride and the groom. Any advice for first-time Vegas adventurers? And how do we handle the dads on this trip? Alex from Toronto.
Well, this is where you sometimes need more information because there's a chance the dads are going to set the tone for the whole thing, right? Like, don't sell them short. You think these guys aren't dying to go to Vegas, and they're going there thinking you guys need to be the ones worried about everything else. I've done everything I've done in my life. I'm going to party, and I'm going to have a great time, and I'm going to be in the pool, and I'm going to be in the casino.
Yeah, but what do you do if you're on a party bus and the
bachelor, the groom,
or the best man says this thing's making a pit stop at a place with neon lights?
No, then I honestly think you probably got to buy your time because I think you're banking with all, not to sound ageist. I think at some point the lights are going to go out for the older guys. They're probably going to say, thanks, guys. It's been fun. I'm out of here.
Yeah, they have to do that. So
yeah,
they
exactly.
have to say, you know what, we're turning in for the night. If you guys are going to keep this train running, we're not participating.
Right. And Vegas, man. If that's 2 a.m., the lights are still on, and people are still partying.
Just turning on.
They might just be turning on at that point.
So you're saying outlast.
What's your Vegas?
Outlast.
You're saying outlast.
Yes.
The older gentleman.
That's
so
right.
I learned this from my buddy Noodles. You got to pre-plan. Pre-plan everything so you know what's going on. From the events to where you're going, what kind of parties you're going to go to. Then even talk with the dad. Say, hey, we're going to go do this and we're going to hit a pool party at 1 a.m. Said what? Yeah, we're going to a pool party at 1 a.m. That's not for us. Okay, no problem. we're going 1 a.m. and we're out the door.
Right.
So pre-plan, be ready.
That's a great point. Throw it out early to get a read on their response, because that's what you'll know. If you say to the older guys, hey, 1 a.m. we're Tiesto's playing, and they go, oh, no chance, then you're in. You just you buy your time, you do your
100%.
dinner, everyone has a good time, and then you say, boys, we have plans. Sorry, see you later, and then it's go time. Just make sure you're watching yourself, because I don't know. The dads are old school guys, but they don't want to.
But if they see one thing out of the corner of their eye, they can make a call on
trouble.
that.
You know what's funny though? The dads might be like, yeah, okay, no, we're going to go to bed. And as soon as they're out the door, the dads, they jump in a car and they're going somewhere else.
Right. That's what I'm saying, Strud.
They're like,
There is a chance you can catch those dads in just outrageous situations.
There's a chance the dads think you're nerds and
That's
losers.
Right. Yeah,
and
Alex.
Like, yeah,
You're
they're
a
like,
dud.
oh, these guys are so cool. Like, okay, guys, see you later. And they're like, let's go and actually floor it.
We're going to tuck in for the night.
Very possible.
One
Very
more quick
possible.
one for Struddy. Dear Hayesy-B, my friends and I are planning a boys' trip to Nashville for June. However, with the Oilers going where we hope they go in the playoffs, we also think we should save the money and instead go to the finals. Save up and hope they get there, or go to Nashville? ? Thanks.
All right, this is a tough one. I believe that you guarantee yourself 2 parties by going to Nashville, but then still having the party here in Edmonton without going to the finals, right? If you just bank on the Oilers going all the way and don't do the Nashville, and the Oilers don't make it, now you don't have it. So guarantee yourself the Nashville party and party at home if the Oilers do in fact get that far.
Yeah, I think that's the play as well, man. Like, it's not easy to go to the Cup final. They did it last year. Maybe they do it again this year. They're definitely going to be in a position to fight for that. But Nashville is waiting for you. You don't want to miss that opportunity. If you're committed to it, it's a great place, great town. They'll have the game on down there, right? Let's say, the second round, beginning of the third round, if Edmonton's still playing, man, you can set up watching the game down in Nashville, then hit Broadway. You can't beat that, right, Strud?
Good.
Like, that's not bad either.
No.
So you cannot turn down the idea of Nashville. If you're committed to Nashville, you've budgeted for Nashville, you've got to do it because Nashville will be there for you. You can't guarantee that with the Oilers, and it could be a double whammy of defeat, right? You cancel the Nashville trip and the Oilers get knocked out in the first or second round, then you're hating your life at that point. And that's the beauty of the Nashville trip is, let's say Edmonton buries you, and let's say they lose in the first round. You're all bent out of shape, and then you realize, hey, we're going to Nashville in 10 days. So lifting up the spirits. I think it's a win-win. Book
Struddy,
Nashville.
you know people that followed the Oil, just fans with either a wealthy lifestyle, this went on the road to Dallas, on the road every game in Florida. Do you know people that followed the whole thing?
Oh, yeah. I had buddies call me hey, there's 2 more seats on a private jet to Florida. Do you want to go? I'm like, God, I'd love to, man, but I got too much going on, multiple times. And not that I'm a high roller, but,
Dude,
some of these guys.
no joke of a private jet either. That's
a long trip, man.
Yeah, and but they were doing it, and they absolutely loved it. So, yes, I mean, but every fan base has those. It's not just Oilers. There's every fan. If the Leafs made it to the final, they're playing against whoever in the final. There'd be planes flying. It'd be like an armada of planes flying from, Ontario all the way down to wherever to cheer these guys on.
Yeah, that is valid, man. Especially you put it in a good town. Like, Florida is a cool place to go.
It was,
if the Leafs played Vegas in a Cup final, you'd talk about Vegas, man. The amount of people from Toronto that would be flying down there for that would just be,
oh my God,
it would be crazy.
I had a buddy who went to the Kings 2 years ago down to LA with his buddies, and he got so buckled at the pool he couldn't go to the game.
Oh.
And I texted him the next day, how did the game go? He goes, don't ask. I'm like, what happened? He's like, I didn't make it. I just threw my phone. I'm like, what kind of person doesn't make it to the game?
Yeah.
Man up, get to the game, monitor your drink intake, man.
That's sickening. That is such an amateur move.
Oh, I lost it.
Yeah, you're an adult. Go down there, have a good time, but mix in a siesta and then go to the game. You know, like normal adults.
Then the worst part is he told his wife he did go, so she asked for pictures, and no one had pictures of him in the game, so he got in trouble. Just tell the truth. God, I'm getting frustrated just thinking about this guy.
I love it. Yeah, I went to the game. Send me picture. That's a wife that knows this guy is an animal.
She knows. This guy's Frank the Tank, though.
Yeah.
It just, he looks at a beer, and at the party.
Send me pics is a concerning comment.
Yeah. Not again. Send pics from a hockey game. This guy didn't say he was, in Amsterdam. Hey, I want to know you're at the hotel. Send pics. No, make sure I know you went to the hockey game. That's when you know this guy.
What do you think could actually be pulled off, though? Like, if you say, hey, boys trip, we're going to a hockey game, like, how crazy do you think it could get without being anywhere close to a hockey building? I guess it would depend on who their spouses were.
Well,
yeah, but still, I mean.
Exactly. I mean, it depends on the whole backstory.
Yeah.
Though. It's tough to get a read on that. Anyway, there you go.
I lost it that day. I was so mad. I'm like,
Yeah,
why
you
would
should.
you miss that game? And I remember it being a good game. Like,
cool building, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to be a part of that, man.
Step up.
LA's enticing too, though, man. It's
fun.
It's not like Vegas. It's a different type, but LA's a great town.
Dude, it's
man.
a great town, man.
Get the man a wheelchair. Get him in a wheelchair. Push him in. Say he hurt his back. Just put anything. Put a mask on him so they can't tell.
Shovel him into the Staples Center. Crypto.com. Dear Hayesy-B, brought to you by Boston Pizza, Canada's favorite sports bar. This January at BP, get delicious, mouth-watering pastas starting at $11.99 every single day. Enjoy the pastas you love at the prices you can't miss. Hustle in your local BP tonight. All right, Max Scherzer is a Blue Jay. That was the breaking news today. We'll come back and put a cap on that and get to our best bets. Powered by FanDuel. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. All right, today's best bets powered by FanDuel. Make your picks and assemble a same-game parlay in seconds on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. This is a Doogie special. He's cooked up something that I am on board with. He's got the Habs winning money line at home against Minnesota. Patrick Laine, 1 point tonight. Oilers money line at home against Detroit. Evan Bouchard, a point tonight. That parlay, 4-leg parlay, paying plus 340. Okay, so a lot of Canadian content tonight. Today's best bets powered by FanDuel. Live same-game parlays are now available for every NHL game on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Please play responsibly. 18 plus, physically located in Ontario. Max Scherzer signing with the Blue Jays today. 1 year, $15.5 million. Play a lot of parlays with that kind of scratch. $15.5 million. And it's like everyone kind of is wondering, is he going to get 20 starts, 25 starts? Is he going to
I'm wondering
unbeat
if
this?
he was just saying to his agent, I'm sitting on my couch until the number gets to 15, so call me if it does.
Right.
He might have.
He might have, and now it's a different element. I'll say that at spring training. I know you guys are kind of mocking me for that, but this guy's going to show up in 2 weeks and have a Blue Jay uniform on, and it's not Ohtani, it's not Soto, but Max Scherzer's an all-time great, and he'll be there. So we got that cooking. We've got the Oilers in action tonight. We're getting closer to the Super Bowl. As we know, every incredible playoff moment on TSN is powered by Bud Light, a refreshing taste that's easy to enjoy. Tune in game days for pulse-pounding action. So getting closer to Super Bowl Sunday. Leafs in action on Saturday night. So it's going to be a good one tomorrow. Noodles will be back. Noodles is in Ottawa tonight, of course. And we've been thinking of Ottawa today. News tragically came down this morning, the passing of Sean Simpson, who has been on this station a lot over the years.
Yeah.
A lot over the years. Was on the World Junior team in 1987. Just a really good hockey guy and executive in the league. Big hockey personality in Ottawa. Passed away yesterday. And we just wanted to make sure that, we mentioned that. And we're thinking of him and his family and friends and everyone in Ottawa, because he was kind of a larger than life personality out there.
Yeah, well said, Hazy. He always loved a good take when the Leafs were playing the Sens. He would always chime in with something.
Yeah, he knew how to kind of jab at Leaf fans a little bit and take advantage of the Battle of Ontario. That is for sure. He had a big presence online, and again at TSN 1200 in Ottawa was a big part of their programming for a long time. And that news came down today. He passed away tragically yesterday at the age of 56. So we're thinking of Sean Simpson, and we'll see what comes of it tonight. Again, the Raptors have won 5 in a row. You got John Klingberg making his debut tonight, Struddy. So I'm sure you're very excited for that. jacked
43
up
for the Oil, the new 43.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure put on a guy, but let's see how he does, right? It's a free run for him to see
That's
what he
right.
can do.
That's right. He doesn't have the hands or the skating ability that you have, Strud, but let's see
Bigger
if
heart.
he can be tough. Yeah, let's see if he can bring the toughness.
Heavier hands.
Heavier hands. Absolutely. All right, Struddy, great seeing you, man. Thanks for doing this. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
There's Jason Strudwick. Thanks to everyone behind the scenes for helping out. We appreciate that. Everyone for tuning in today. TV, radio, podcast, web. We appreciate it. We're out of here. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy the games tonight. We're back tomorrow at
4 p.m.